hot cuppa and relax. It's Afternoon Karak with Aisha Al-Mazmi and Mikhail Atiyah
on Pulse 95.
This weekend has been pretty crazy if you spend any time on the internet. All these feeds about the elections, and now with Joe Biden being the elected president, there's a lot of mixed reception. But if you were spending any time around Friday on Twitter, a new hashtag sort of came trending, and it's Justice for Johnny Depp. And it's got a lot of people thinking, what is really going on here? Yes. And the situation of the matter is that Johnny Depp has announced on his Instagram on a statement letter that he is going to be stepping down from his role as Grindelwald from the Fantastic Beasts 3 because of Warner Bros. Respectfully telling him that it's your time to leave. Mm-hmm. And this came from the fact that recently he lost a libel case against The Sun, which is a British tabloid that published an article back in 2018 alleging that he was, in quotations, a wife beater. And since he lost that case, it seems that Warner Bros. Wants to clean itself from Johnny Depp being involved with them whatsoever. Mm-hmm. And it's got a lot of people just going absolutely crazy. On one side, they're really trying to fight for Johnny Depp, and at the same time, they're also boycotting against Warner Bros. For their decision.
And there are some people who are saying that since, according to the information we have, because we've been getting so many opposing information from both sides, and this judge says something, this judge says something, this lawyer says something, this lawyer says something else. So a lot of people have come to the conclusion that maybe they're both at fault, maybe they're both problematic, and perhaps Warner Brothers should also let go of Amber Heard and her role in Aquaman, just to make it fair, to show that if they are against this sort of behavior, they should be equally as fair. They should let go of Johnny Depp for his behavior and Amber Heard for her behavior as well. Again, it's all to do with who said what, he said, she said. At the beginning, when we first thought it was that Johnny Depp was problematic. Then we heard that Amber Heard was problematic. And then we heard that they're both problematic. So if I was Warner Brothers, I would let them both go, honestly.
Even the ground out and remove both sides of the controversy. Mm-hmm. And now that Johnny Depp is no longer playing the role of Grindelwald, they're going to be recasting for the role, and the movie is going to be pushed back from its original slate, which was going to be November 2021.
Yeah.
And now will premiere in the summer of 2022. And I don't know. I gotta say, ever since the Fantastic Beasts movies have been coming out, I feel like the franchise has grown a bit stale.
I agree with you very much. There was something about the first movie that felt more of a filler rather than something that had an actual substance or plot. They were trying to lead the way to having Grindelwald appear and also trying to cement the story of Newt. But then it's like, and then what? Remember the whole chasing scene in the zoo on the ice? Yeah. It was spectacular to see CGI-wise, but in terms of substance, it felt very lacking. And honestly, it was a missed opportunity because Colin Farrell would have been a perfect Grindelwald, he was appearing as sort of a disguise of Grindelwald before he turned into Johnny Depp. So from the get-go, Warner Brothers should have stuck to Colin Farrell, and maybe this is their chance to bring him back and have him be cast as the character again.
Yeah, you're right. And the fate of this 5-part film, because there's still going to be, after the Fantastic Beasts 3, there's still going to be 2 movies. How is it going to fare, commercially speaking, now that Johnny Depp is no longer a part of this film series? We'll have to just wait and see. The movie's going to be coming out, like I said, in summer 2022. But how will the reception be? How will the box office affect this exit from Johnny Depp? And what do you think of the hashtag Justice for Johnny Depp? Are you with him? Are you against him? And do you think Warner Bros. Made the right call here? Do let us know. Text us 4215, Insalat or Do. We're going to be taking a bit of a break, and coming up next, we're going to be talking about some Disney movies that were supposed to come out in December, but unfortunately have now been pushed back. So stay tuned.
Pulse 95.
Not too long ago, Mikhail and I were incredibly excited about Death on the Nile because we miss Hercule Poirot so much.
We're just craving for a whodunit murder mystery film.
Yes, it's been a while. It's been since last year, so, why not keep that going on? And unfortunately, Disney has officially removed Free Guy and Death on the Nile from the 2020 release schedule, which means that pretty much we have no idea when it's going to be released anymore.
Yeah, the release dates are unspecified, and it's getting me a bit concerned about the fact that could there be delays in 2021? Because Tenet was supposed to be the movie to, just sort of break away the fear that the public have about going to theaters. But it barely broke even. And now there's going to be a Blu-ray DVD release later in December.
That's very early. Usually it would have probably come out around February, around January. And that tells you how bad they had it or bad that they've been hit. And again, it was somebody's fault for not listening to the people who are basically begging them to have the movie out on video on demand. I know we bring this up every single time, but it's the truth, isn't it?
Yeah, and video on demand has become like the new way for just the film industry to adapt to these to the pandemic itself. But again, I think Disney might not do anything about it just yet. I think my biggest theory is that they might do the whole $30 premiere access that they have on Disney Plus.
Possible.
Added to the Mulan. I think Mulan and some other film was part of that.
Soul, I believe, is going to be the next movie that's going to have something similar to it.
Yeah, so part of the premium subscription that you have to pay over the Disney Plus subscription if they feel that they cannot put it out in theaters anytime soon.
I don't think I would preferably, I would be like, that would be a great idea. But seeing how a lot of those companies are thinking, maybe Disney is smarter than, Warner Brothers or MGM in the sense that they're not holding on to their movies too tightly, and they're offering them also on the streaming service. But I feel like they might be, just like you said, they might be hinging on the fact that these movies, or at least Death on the Nile, would be the movie that will help them kick off something.
Yeah.
Especially since Black Widow is also coming up, and you know how MCU movies are. They usually are the what brings everybody to theaters, whether they're fans of the MCU or just simple fans of anything action. So it just begs the question. Are they hoping Black Widow would be the kickoff, or are they just saving it for later? What is happening there? Only time will tell, to be honest.
And also, now that you mentioned Black Widow, the fact that it's not even in VOD means that they're very keen on having these theatrical releases. And again, my biggest worry is that these delays might seep into 2021.
I wouldn't be surprised if they did, but then I feel like maybe by then some of them would have learned their lesson and would go to video on demand, or maybe they'd keep on holding on. But then it also goes back to, remember when we talked about the pros versus the cons, and we talked about MGM, is that had they given their movie for a lesser price to a streaming service like Netflix, maybe they wouldn't have lost as much money as they keep on losing the longer they delay the movie.
Yeah.
So it honestly just depends on what's going on within their teams and how they're thinking and how they're predicting the projectile or the first quarter and the second quarter of 2021. What do you guys think? 4215, if it's a lot or do, will we be getting these movies sooner or later, or will they just simply go to video on demand or on streaming services such as Disney Plus? Text us 4215. It is a lot or do. We're going to be moving on to an MCU rumor about Black Panther, because apparently we might be seeing Chadwick Boseman one last time as the Black Panther, but as CGI. Would that be a good idea? That'd be a bad idea. Let's chat about that after this short break.
Speculation, gossip, or hoax. Rumor has it.
Marvel Studios has quite the conundrum to deal with their future Marvel films, specifically Black Panther 2, as the late Chadwick Boseman, has passed away, the star role for Black Panther himself. And the biggest question is, how do you make the sequel, continue with keeping in line to the legacy of this role?
Yeah.
And there's a rumor going around, one that came from Grace Randolph, and she is she's somewhat of a comic book writer. She also has her own YouTube show called Beyond the Trailer, and she went on to say that there is a possibility that Marvel is considering to recreate the actor with CGI.
Okay, here's the thing. I was like that feels very disrespectful. It's giving me a lot of the Star Wars vibes of Princess Leia and General Leia, sorry. And how they basically, to have her do her last scenes, she was basically, CGI'd. And it did not look very respectful at all, even though her role was very short and very sweet. And it looked like, a nice farewell. But to me, I felt like that was kind of a bit of a, but in ill taste. However, here, when I read the story, or at least what Grace Randolph is saying, is that they're gonna have T'Challa die in a battle at the beginning of the film, and Shuri becomes the new Black Panther, which is something we've been speaking about for maybe an entire year now, that Shuri might be the next Black Panther, maybe taking on the mantle of her brother. The fact that they're just gonna have him maybe appear just briefly at the beginning, if it's just that short, maybe that is fine. Maybe that is not too disrespectful, too tacky, but I hope they first got permission from his family first, and that they have given the green light and not have gone ahead and done it anyway.
I think it'll also depend on the execution of it. One really good version of recreating CGI was Paul Walker. His brother actually got involved, and he was the closest person to have a resemblance to his, just his body and facial features. So in terms of the tech, they really had a great advantage of trying to emulate his appearance and giving him a great send-off. So if they can try to stick to that level of execution with Chadwick Boseman, Black Panther, then I think people would actually be okay with it. I think it's all about the execution. How much screen time are they given? How is he written into the story, and how is he written out of the story, and passing on the legacy of Black Panther? It's going to be very tricky, but I hope that Marvel Studios I hope that they know what they're doing. And again, this is a rumor. We don't know if it's fully confirmed. So we'll just have to see how this story develops.
Basically that. And again, even though Carrie Fisher was not the best example, but she did not look too bad. If you hadn't told me,
they worked with what they had.
Exactly. But again, like Mikhail said, if it's respectful, it's gonna be a not too bad idea. What do you guys think? Text us 4215 Etisalat, or slide into our DMs at Pulse 95 Radio and tell us, what do you think? Do you think it's a bit tacky, not a good idea at all? Or do you think that there might be exceptions? They could do it, not in a tacky way, and in a good and respectful way, in a way to honor his legacy. We're going to be taking a short break. We've got these sports headlines coming up and much more right here on Pulse 95.
This is Pulse 95.
BioWare Studios is a studio that is well known for developing some of the best narrative RPG experiences out there, namely Mass Effect. It's been kind of a cult classic until the Mass Effect Andromeda that came out in 2017 came out with mixed receptions. It wasn't the original development team that worked on it, and it was to a lot of people considered the $40 million disaster of a video game. And BioWare has since been kind of radio silent. We know that they are developing hard at work the Dragon Age 4 video game. We've gotten a little bit of concept art here and there. And in the past couple of months, one thing we never reported on because it was just rumors was the Mass Effect Trilogy Remastered Edition. It kept popping up in our newsfeed a couple of times, but we felt like it's not really confirmed.
Yeah.
We don't know. But now, in celebration of the November 7th, which is considered the N7 day. N7 is a special ops in the game of Mass Effect, in the world of Mass Effect. BioWare announced officially that they're going to be releasing the Mass Effect Trilogy Legendary Edition, which remasters Mass Effect 1, 2, and 3 all in one collection. It's coming out in spring 2021. And BioWare has said that it's not really going to be a full remake, but it's going to instead be greatly improving and cleaning up on the original game and returning players to the classic RPG trilogy in the best possible form. There's going to be some great quality of life improvements. There's going to be new shaders, new improved character models, textures, higher resolutions, and it will also release on next-gen consoles, PS5 and the Xbox Series X, with even greater enhancements. And not only that, the studio general manager, Casey Hudson, also confirmed in the blog post that they are also working on the next Mass Effect video game.
Wow, honestly, that's a lot of big projects that they're working on, and it makes you wonder, are they prepared for all of this, especially since a lot of studios have been kind of, well, I'd say struggling with trying to make all their games basically able to run on both the current generation of consoles and also the next generation of consoles. And if, just like you said, the previous kind of editions of Mass Effect have kind of been people have not been big fans of them.
Also,
it's a lot of cleanup.
Anthem has left a lot of fans, sort of worried about BioWare. Could they bring back that same spark that they had back with the older games? And now that they're working on two big, massive open RPG worlds, can they really handle that level of development power? There's a lot of expectations when you say you're working on the next Mass Effect.
Exactly, that next Mass Effect, and also trying to fix something that was, had really bad reception. So it's a lot of hard work. It's basically 4 games, including trying to go beyond your loyal fans' expectations by providing something new and refined in the next generation. So it just makes you wonder, and honestly nothing to do except for wait and take their word for it for now until, we get an answer, whether it's a good idea or was it a bad idea, and was it just a cash grab to try to trick the fans, be like, oh, we're doing great, we're going to be giving you exactly what you wanted and more, and then they do pay and they pre-order and whatnot, and then lo and behold, it is nothing but a repetition of the past.
All I can say is best of luck, BioWare.
Best of luck, BioWare, then. Coming up next, we do have another story about Star Wars. We were talking about Star Wars and Princess Leia and Carrie Fisher earlier in the hour. If you missed out, the podcast will be up, so you can stay tuned to that conversation, and also stay tuned to the upcoming conversation about a new action thriller featuring martial arts and set in the Star Wars world. Stay tuned for that and much more.
This is Pulse 95.
We've heard a while back that we're going to be getting a Star Wars spin-off, and it's going to be female-centric, and Leslie Headland is going to be the showrunner of the show. But now we're hearing that it's going to have martial arts, and it's going to be set in an alternate timeline. And that was like the biggest question mark that I could ever... Super vague. And what does it mean there's going to be alternative universe? And why would they have an alternate universe? Why are they doing that to a series that is well established and that is often very connected? Like even the animated TV show, if you're looking at the books and everything, even though they feel very fragmented and you have separate groups of people who are interested in different things, but at the end of the day, the stories all connect together.
Yeah.
And you're all talking about Star Wars, which is in the same Star Wars universe. So what does that even mean?
Exactly. And Star Wars has never, I don't think, and maybe somebody could debate with me on it. 4215, it's still out there too. Star Wars has never hinted to utilizing multiverse as a plot device of any kind. You see in DC, you see in Marvel, but to say alternate timeline can be a bit ambiguous. Are you implying that this is going to be set in a different universe that doesn't impact the canonical timeline of the Star Wars saga? Or it's in the Star Wars saga, but somewhere completely different? My biggest guess is probably the High Republic era, which takes place 200 years before the Skywalker saga. That could be, maybe that's what they mean, is that it's somewhere in the past, somewhere in the future, something like that. I'd like to think it's still in the canonical timeline of Star Wars. Because if you bring multiverse into Star Wars, I'm not sure how fans are going to take it.
No, I don't think they're going to be very happy. And the thing is, this piece of information wasn't, a big headline in an interview. It was basically buried deep down in an interview by Deadline, and that's where the new details from the new female-centric Star Wars TV show came from. And it's like, what is going on? Like Disney, Lucasfilms, what is going on? What are you guys working on? But I'm hoping that this is just, it's like, this might be happening, this might be not be happening. We're still talking about it kind of phase, and nothing that is actually set in stone. I don't think anybody would be happy, Star Wars fans or otherwise. Nobody would like a fragmented story or something that would just break apart the entire universe of something so well established. Again, the Marvel thing has been happening for a long time. Same thing with the DCEU universe or this just DC universe in general. So do not do that. That would be a terrible idea. We just need to wait and see, and just hope that their comment and alternate timeline just simply means that it'd be, just like Mikhail said, on the other side of the universe, something else happening there, or somewhere a little bit, a bit in the past, or something like that. Nothing too drastic.
I really hope so as well. One element also that talks about martial arts is something I'm actually interested in, because it means that it's not really focusing on the power of the Force, but maybe utilizing the Force as a philosophy to form your way of martial arts. I remember in Rogue One, there was one character, his all ideology is like, I'm one with the Force and the Force is with me. So I think they might actually be able to do something with that, where there are characters who are not Force sensitive, they're not Jedis, but they use the ideology of the Force to actually become martial artists themselves.
That would be super cool. That's a new, different way of looking at the Force, and even delving deeper into the lore of the Force beyond the whole of being, the idea of being Force sensitive. Coming up next is a potential new Switch game that nobody knows anything about, that got accidentally leaked. And yeah, we can talk about that and much more right here on the Afternoon Karak.
Pulse 95.
All Nintendo fans are scrambling for any sort of Nintendo news and Nintendo Direct, so we get excited when we get accidental leaks. But this leak in particular just made absolutely no sense, because it gives out exactly zero information besides the title's called Gods Will Fall, and is apparently an action game with a dark fantasy theme, and it is created by Deep Silver. They are the creators of games such as Saints Row and Wasteland, so they do have a good reputation, so you'd expect something good out of them, but that is all we're hinging on, to be honest.
I was doing some research, and I found a bit of a quick overview. It says that Gods Will Fall is a high-stakes dark fantasy action game about the 8 remaining Celtic warriors of a gigantic fleet that are sailing to the edge of existence to overthrow their diabolical gods.
I love this. That's super, like, goosebumps.
And this is coming on Nintendo.
Interesting thing, it actually might be a Nintendo exclusive.
Why not? I don't mind. I mean, Deep Silver is known for making multi-platform games.
Yeah.
But maybe they signed something with Nintendo, because Nintendo is also trying to compete in its own way by having exclusive party games as well. So I would say, because just from the name itself, Gods Will Fall, maybe it's in the style of Shadow of the Colossus.
Yeah.
Or maybe God of War. Like, it's about defeating gods in some way. So that would be really cool from Nintendo. Of course, we don't know anything about it besides the title and the overview. And now that the game has been rated, it's most likely it'll be released in 2021.
Most likely, fingers crossed. And maybe sooner or later, when we get a Nintendo Direct, whether it's a Nintendo Direct Mini that would showcase all of Nintendo's partners and third-party partners, we will get some information. Maybe this would be the highlight of the upcoming Nintendo Direct. The last one we had was a mini that kind of had some stuff here and there from their third-party partners, but nothing that big. It was more of like, here are some updates, but nothing like, oh, look at this, check this out. So we just need to wait and see, because the last big one was from Atlas and their Persona games. It said we're known for their Persona games, so we just need to wait and see. We're nearing the end of the hour, but it's okay, because we have Aisha and Mikhail suggest, so stay tuned for that. Don't leave us. Stay tuned.
It's almost 5 p.m.
That was Afternoon Karak.
For dessert,
Aisha and Mikhail suggest.
It's all about being useful and giving you some useful tips and ideas. And last time Mikhail suggested keeping a box of rubber bands, and this one falls within the same realm, and it's also super helpful.
So in the next couple of months, I'm getting kind of ready to move out. And for a while now, I've kept a huge collection of unused boxes. And you might be thinking that's kind of weird, but I think the reason why I did this is because I was anticipating just the fact that I'm going to be decluttering. I'm going to be minimizing a lot of just stuff in the house. There's going to be things that I want to categorize into a donation box, into flea market box, because I'm going to put those, I'm going to sell them out into a flea market. And then anything that I want to move back to Jordan, and anything that's left would go into the new place that I want to take it. And I feel like you need a lot of boxes for these kind of things. So my suggestion is that my suggestion is you just get your hands on a collection of boxes, and you don't have to open them up and use them at once.
Yeah.
But whenever a chance comes where you might have to donate something, or you have to declutter or dump something, or even store something in your house, then just have them there at a moment's notice for you to use.
Or even when you buy things here and there, it would be great for them to also save these boxes, and maybe you don't know when you might need them. Could it happen anytime? Or your friends might be asking you, hey, do you have any boxes around? And you're like, yes, I do. I've got a couple from the last time I bought this, from the last time I bought that. And that is it for an hour right here on the afternoon Karak. But don't worry, I'm going to be back tomorrow, same time, same vibes, from 4 p.m. to 5 p.m. only here on Pulse 95.
If you liked this episode of Afternoon Karak, drop a like and subscribe.
Pulse 95.
Be sure to follow us on Instagram for all our daily updates and top stories.